Hey, She family. Hey, She family. It is Sunday night, 8 o'clock. Listen, y'all know the deal. We are on here talking about our point of views on different topics. So we are so thankful and grateful that you guys are here. We're glad you're listening. I am your host, Trish, and your co host.
Amari's here. Hey,
Yay!
everybody.
All right. And so, of course, this week on Pieces of Sheep podcast, you guys have put your notes, your comments below on YouTube, on Instagram. And this is season 9. We're talking about our different point of views. And episode, we're talking about politics. So, why aren't more millennials engaged or even interested in politics? Amari, what is up? Because
Hey.
I don't even know who chose this topic. I don't remember.
I think the topic was going to be on politics, but I think we got the sense that maybe we might not have too much to contribute because we don't stay up with it or engage with it in that way.
Okay. Well, being that, elections are coming up, some really, really key, um, people, it's coming up. We got to vote. It's a lot going on in politics right now, and it just doesn't seem like a lot of people are interested. And I get it. I do. I get it. I get it. I get it. But I just really wanted to hear from some millennials to see like why. Why are you or why you are not engaged in politics? So,
Yeah.
what about you? Are you engaged? Do you know what's going on in the world? Do you kind of like just glimpse over it? Like, what's your deal?
I think it goes in waves. I don't think I was ever too interested in politics until it was between Trump and Hillary. And
Hmm.
I think that at that point, it was you had to get involved or you had to stay up on what was going on because it was just madness, crazy things like being said, happening. And so that's probably the time that I was the most involved and kept up with it. Um, and after that election, I think I stayed up with it just because, again, you couldn't go a day, an hour without hearing about, Trump, something he was saying, something he was doing. And so it kind of forced you to be involved and keep up with it. Um, and I kept up with the next election. I did watch the debates and things like that, which again, not something I ever did before, even though I've been able to vote since I was 18.
Hmm.
And after that, once Biden got elected, I made it a point to just really stop engaging. Um, and I think because it was like so consuming, right? Like you could get so, with everything that was going on, you could get so worked up about it. And the things that are happening are crazy and they do impact us. But me and maybe some other millennials kind of feels like it's whatever's going to happen is going to happen,
Hmm.
right? And so I chose to just disengage, not read all the articles, not watch CNN and all these things, um, because it was really draining when we had to do that, when we had Trump in office. And after that, it was just like, that was taking a lot of my time. It was taking a lot of the energy because a lot of it was negative. And
Hmm.
so I made it a point to not really engage in it. And ever since then, I still see some of the things that are going on, but I don't keep up with it. Um, I don't even like check my news app. I don't watch CNN. Um, Nothing like that.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, here's a question. Do you feel like, okay, you said that since Biden got elected, you kind of disengaged. Do you feel like, okay, Biden's elected, like we're in good hands? Is that the thought or not?
I never feel like we're in good hands, but I also don't like expect too much from my government. Obviously, I think we're a democracy, and so we think that they're responsible for a certain amount of things or, areas of our life. But I try to just, live my life and do the things that I need to do. And I don't know if that, what that makes me seem, but I do my part in voting, and then besides that, I just don't give it too much energy. So I think we're in better hands only because at least like the hatred and the negativity is not just so in your face where it's so blatant and you just have to, you know, be drawn to it.
Mhm.
So do I think we're in good hands? No. Do I think we're in better hands? I mean, not really, but yes.
Mhm.
Um, enough for me. And who knows, maybe if any person that would have got elected after that season of just being so worked up, being on 100 at all times, I think no matter what, I probably would have just been like, it's been enough.
Mhm. Mhm. So let me ask you, did you vote in the last, like, your local elections?
I didn't, but not because I don't believe in it or I didn't want to. We were just kind of in transition, moving from California. And so a lot of that stuff, I think it got switched over, but I didn't receive like my ballot here.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and so just being in a season of transition, it wasn't at the top of my list. And so it was something that obviously afterwards I was like, dang, you know, because I think that was something that I did take some pride in
Mhm.
when I was being very active in it. And so that was something that I kind of let slip because of that transition.
Gotcha. And then will you be voting in this next upcoming? Because, we have a lot of important things going on now. And I'm gonna just say the governor of Nevada. We're in Nevada. The governor of Nevada is up for election, and the two different mindsets are drastic to me. And
Mm.
so I don't know. Do you feel like, okay, I better vote for the governor or else I'm going to see a lot of changes in my own life? That's how I feel.
Yeah.
So I don't know. How do you feel?
I think when I hear it put like that, and I think that my own parents are really like involved and they keep up with it. And so a lot of times, you know, I listen to what they have to say and we have a lot of the same beliefs. And so I'll kind of go with what they say,
Hmm.
which I have no shame in that. You know, I mean, we're kind of like, I think you kind of have to have that collective mentality. And so I'm fine with doing that. But I definitely think it's important. And I haven't been keeping up with it, or I don't know what, you know, each side is saying. But I know that I have to at least go place my vote, and I will sit down and talk to them beforehand to say, hey, okay, I'm getting engaged. I know I need to do this. Like, what's on the table?
Hmm. 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 Well, I think that that's great, that you are even going and saying, okay, hey, what's going on? Who should I vote for and why? That's really important to me. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of millennials are disengaged from politics right now. Like totally. They're like, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's these people don't care about us. And while I get that, my thing is they are going through so many loops and hoops to prevent us from voting. So, to make it harder to, restrict certain places from being a voting, place, or even, they don't want to allow early voting and things like that. Um, that if it didn't matter, that I just don't think that
Right.
they would be going through that to prevent people from voting. So I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
And on that level, I can agree with it, but I think because they go through such great lengths to do that, I feel like we don't have enough people in place to make the real changes. And so I think that's why a lot of times I just disengage, because I tell my parents, I tell my husband all the time, where it's like, until the people we see like in front of us kind of, I mean, die off, you know,
Mm,
like I feel like it all stays in this age bracket where they're
gotcha.
70 plus. Until those people are out of here, um we're kind of at this standstill. And so I love that my friends are becoming lawyers and, politicians, and we're seeing more people of color, more women, like just being added to um, that area, in politics, because then I think that will get more millennials engaged. But right now, it's like if these people are always going to be the ones ultimately making the
Mhm,
decisions,
mhm.
um, they're going to keep setting all these hoops and moving the goalpost, and we're going to keep, doing whatever it is to do our part. But how far does that really go?
I get you. I get you. I will say this. I am very tired of old white men running this country. I think
Yeah.
our country is so diverse. I think that we should allow other people to get in there and kind of give their 2 cents. And, everybody has great ideas. What we have been doing so far is not like the best for us.
Hmm.
For all. I'll say
Hmm.
for all. It's
Right.
the best for people that look like them, but not
And that's
necessarily.
why it keeps happening, right? Because it's
Mhm.
like, well, they keep benefiting. So if they can just keep on keeping their small circle of people, but even like the president said, man, like you have to be 35. I'm like, how are we always ending up with even Biden? I'm like, okay, like
Yeah. Uh,
we're way
where
past
where are the
35.
35-year-olds?
Yeah.
Because you're like
Yes.
double that, sir.
Yes. Yes.
But let me read a couple of I guess this topic kind of struck a nerve with people. I'll say that.
Okay.
I had
Good.
a couple of people in my DMs, and I'm like, ooh, okay, I get that. So let me read one of the comments after I
Okay.
posted the question. Um, why aren't more millennials engaged or interested in politics? This is a response I got, and it's a pretty lengthy one, so bear with me. Probably because they fell for the okey doke too many times. For example, we inherited the burden of the drug laws of the 80s that carried mandatory minimums. We inherited the family dysfunction and separation that was caused by child support. We inherited the physical and psychological traumas that associated with the 1994 crime bill, mass incarceration. These same group of people were told vote or die decades later. Now they're told, excuse me, now they're old enough to vote by people who look like them. Then we were sold on the idea of change. Well, the only thing that I think changed was the administration. Damn. Then we got told we got to get this new administration out of office by any means so we can start to make progress. Well, now here we are with zero faith in government and less interest in politics. Fuck. Okay, I'm done. Don't want to be long-winded. that was that was a comment I got in my DMs. I'm like, whoa, okay. So I get it. I do. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about that comment?
Um, I agree. My mom always laugh about it because when the night Trump got elected, I said, America pretty much got exposed because we say that we believe in democracy or we don't stand for certain things, but clearly we do, right? And so when that happened, I think it does break the trust that we had for our government, because you're saying these are our leaders,
Hmm.
right? And then like he's able to be a leader. And so it's like, well, is there really a criteria here? Are there really laws to make sure that these things don't happen? Oh, we've all just been floating along, just hoping that, a good person is there. It's not, there's no real foundation. And if we want to talk about the real foundation of this country, then, we're going to go down a real deep, dark rabbit hole. And
Hmm.
so when you look at it that way, I think maybe that does stem the disengagement, where it's like, I don't believe in what you guys stand for. And so
Gotcha.
why engage? Um, but I'm obviously a reasonable and realistic person that it's like, well, these are also the people making the laws that do affect us. So to some extent, we have to be engaged. We have to keep up with it. So we at least even know what our rights are, how to govern ourselves so that we don't fall for the okey doke and end up exactly where they want us to.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's 100% how I feel. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with our system, right? But if we just lay down and say forget it, nobody's going to engage. You guys are going to do whatever you want to do anyway. We'll really get effed with no Vaseline. Okay. But
Yeah.
if we fight, if we stay in it and we're like, no, these things we are not budging on. We're not doing this. We're not gonna no, nope, we're not gonna do it. Then they have to kind of like re strategize, I guess. You know what I mean? And say, okay, they're not going for this. So we can't just do that. So there are benefits to um, fighting the good fight, and I feel like that's what we do every day. So I don't know what you want to do. You
So
want
I
to
guess I have the question for you, and then we can get our first guest. If you had to take a look or hear different things from us or millennials, why do you think that we're not as engaged?
quite honestly, I really believe that, and this is just me being the very blunt, honest person that I am. I feel like the millennials' parents, for the most part, we have protected you guys from a lot of things. We've protected you guys from, bullies at school. We protected you from just pretty much everything. And in all cases, I don't think that that was good. I think that we kind of crippled you guys in a way to where you really didn't have to fight for yourselves. So quite honestly, I'm just being 100% honest. I believe that you guys don't think you have to be engaged because your parents are going to protect you from being hurt by this government that we have. That's just me. I feel like you can always go to your parents and say, you know what? Okay, what are we going to do? Instead of saying, okay, no, I don't agree with this, and this is what I'm going to do, mom or dad. You know what I mean? Like, you guys don't necessarily have a political voice for yourself. You have to kind of get direction from us. I could be wrong. What are your thoughts on that?
I think to a certain extent I can understand what you're saying. Do I agree? No. Um, because a lot of times, like, I always tell my mom, I tell my husband, like, we don't have to live here.
Hmm.
So a lot of times I'm like, this is just one form of government. If it's not working for you, move somewhere else. We all have our passports. Um, let's move.
Hmm.
But they're also my parents, Gen Xers, are also the first ones to, shut that down. So I think my political voice, a lot of times, and I tell my husband, and he's getting more on board the more things that happen, let's
Hmm.
move.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
and so I think maybe, I mean, that's a part of it too. Maybe it's just like we don't have to, stand for it. And I take some political direction from my parents because I know that they're more well versed. But when it comes to certain issues, we don't agree on all of them.
Hmm.
Um, I know we're not reading the comments, but I kind of see a few people bringing up some good points. um a lot of times I do feel like it's just expected, right? Like a lot of our parents will just vote Democrat,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
sometimes I don't even agree with that. So I don't know if we always just go with what they say. But obviously there are some times where if you're not the most informed, then they're a good place to start.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, cool, cool, cool. Um, so listen, I think we got some people that want to chime in. I think you have a millennial that's been in here for a minute, Miss Brianna. We're gonna go ahead and bring her in and get her
Hey.
point of view. All right. Hey,
Hello, hello,
Brianna, how are
hello.
you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good, good.
Hi.
Hey.
All
So
right.
we're gonna
So,
talk
have you
good
been listening?
politics.
Yes, I've been listening. You guys have some very interesting points. And thank you for having me. So where do we wanna get started? Because you guys covered so many things.
I want to start with saying, like, how would you describe your engagement in politics?
Um, so I would describe myself as pretty engaged. But I think that it depends on how you it's important to define engagement. So for me, I listen to the news multiple times a week. I and that's like a 1 hour news special. I listen to. I prefer Democracy Now. If I'm not listening to like a historical podcast as it relates to U.S. like imperialism, um, I read BBC News almost every day. So like at least the headlines. I voted in the last presidential election, but at the same time, I do not plan to vote. It's very unlikely that I will vote in the next presidential election. And so, in terms of engagement and understanding and knowledge, my engagement is very high. Some people only define engagement by whether you vote or not. For me, engagement is what is your impact on social change? And if that does not occur through voting, which you have both alluded to the fact that we don't have a lot of social change that occurs from president to president. If voting is not an effective means of creating social change, then it's not a good measure of engagement either all the time. So
I
that's
could
where
see
I'm
that.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so, what's your impression of our political system at this current time?
I think that we have a political system that benefits a very few. I think that we have a political system that is rooted in both racism and capitalism. And I think that that impacts every area of our lives and every area of our political life. And I also think that realistically, we don't see a lot of change from administration to administration because we play identity politics a lot and not actual substantial politics. And so I think it was kind of alluded to when you were like when Trump was in office, I was really engaged, because I felt like I had to be on the lookout because this man was so egregious in his vitriol and in his, you know what I mean, racism and sexism, and those things were very obvious to us. But the truth is that in terms of policy, real policy, Obama had children in cages as well. In terms of policy, Obama had more extrajudicial killings in other nations than any other president. We killed more people without courts, without search warrants in other countries than any other president has. The truth is that from Obama to Trump to Biden, the military budget has only increased from 600 billion to now we're at 717 billion. In reality, we were just in a pandemic where we're the number one country in the nation supposedly with, and as you know, I'm in my third year of medical school right now, with supposedly the best healthcare system in the world. And although we make up less than a quarter of the globe, we had 1 million deaths in this nation. We were number one in deaths. How is that possible? We had more deaths than India. We are so little in comparison to India. And that was on both sides. That was with a Republican president, that was with a Democratic president. While other countries, when Biden, we got what, two stimulus checks under Biden. Other countries, the Netherlands, they were getting 75 to 90% of their total salary paid monthly if those companies didn't lay people off. We have people, we're about to go into a recession because People are so back paid on rent. In other countries, that's not even a problem. And that's not a Democratic problem or a Republican problem. That's a capitalism problem. And it seems to know no, party lines. And so that is my current view of our political system. We have some problems.
Agreed.
That's deep. We do. We do.
Yeah.
No, I agree, and I think that when I say like even them pulling from this 1%, right? I didn't say it, but I do agree, right? Like there is they go to both parties. It's kind of just a switch off, and then we spend majority of that time with a new administration kind of just undoing what the last administration did, right or
Hmm.
wrong. So a lot of it is, as you said, identity politics. We just kind of go back and forth instead of really, I feel like focusing on the issues. And me and my mom have always said this, like, I feel like it should be a system where we vote on the issue, not the person.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Um, which would be something that I would be interested in. And obviously, we would feel like we have more say about just the things that really do impact us, personally versus this overall. So, kind of in conclusion, I wanted to know. Well, I had an interesting question because this kind of came up when I was talking about it. Do you feel like it's a generational thing or do you feel like it's just an age thing? Meaning, like, I asked my parents if at 30 years old they were engaged or interested in politics, and they said no. And so that
Hmm.
made me feel like it's more of an age thing, not a generational thing. Do you agree?
I kind of agree that in some ways it's an age thing. Like, I think that when you are, I think that I am a little bit of an outlier. Like, I think there's a lot to distract us at this age, and not so much that we don't think that, or we think that our parents are going to protect us. I think that we just think that we have very little to be protected from, like we're very present in our lives. But either way, I think versus a generational like or an age thing, I really don't think that either group, older, millennial, whatever, thinks or sees or feels like from president to president or group to group that they're getting substantial change, like their lives are
Hmm.
significantly improving. They're seeing the lives of poor and working class people that they know improve from president to president. I don't think that that's true. I just think that we go about um, kind of displaying our anger with that in different ways, and that they hold on to this belief that we fought for voting, and so that they believe that we should vote because we fought for voting. And also, like Trish said, that if voting was so important, why would they be trying to take it away from us when we know that they actively are? And for me, and I think for a lot of friends that I know, what it comes down to is that if I'm always voting on people that I don't agree with, then what I'm actually doing is I'm lending myself. I'm telling them that they don't have to be the person that I want them to be. They don't have to ever create the changes that I want them to see. They just have to be a little bit less than
Hmm.
the loudest white racist man. And that's such a low bar.
Right.
Hmm.
And eventually, if we actually engage in our communities, like we engage in building each other up, we engage in teaching ourselves financial literacy, we engage in doing the things for each other in small batches that we want to see them do for us, then we will create enough power within our own communities that when the right candidate does come, because we've stopped voting, and when the right candidate does come, then all of that power can be utilized to propel someone who can actually create the change that we want to see. But if we keep giving away our vote for free, then that will never occur to me. And I think that that is where some other people are on, or just that they don't see change. But I think overall the sentiment is the same.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your viewpoint. Me personally feel like by not voting, you are giving away your vote for free. You're giving it to You are oh, sorry. I don't know what that was, but you are giving it away, whether you think you are or not. That vote is being given away to the
Yeah,
people that don't want you to vote. So that's
I
how I
mean,
feel about it. I don't know
yeah, we'll see.
but
We're all trying to figure out how to create change. And,
for sure.
you know, like, first one to the top, whoever can create the reality that we all know we want to see, then let's do it. But I think we've been doing it one way for a really long time. So I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
interested to see how else we can do it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well,
Yeah,
thank you so
Well,
much.
thanks
You're
for calling
amazing.
us.
no
Yes, for sure.
problem.
I really
Night.
appreciate you.
All right, night.
Well, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last part she brought up, she kind of answered my fourth question, and I don't know. It was basically going to see like what would you like to see change to make you more engaged. Um, and I like that point of view, just being like, what is the social change that I can do with me and
Mhm.
my friends or in our community? Because I do believe in that, or our parts, even in the field I work in or the job I take, I'm always feeling like, what does our community need, or what can I contribute on just, on that level. And I hope that that's making a change. And I think it is, because sometimes when we talk about, just the figurehead that gets to, make these, and they don't even have that much power, right? Like they're just the face, but we know
Mhm.
there are so many moving parts behind them. And
Yeah.
so I would like to be a part of just the smaller social changes, in my small circle. And I would hope that if everyone is doing that, we're making some sort of change and getting more on the same page, because I think that that contributes a lot to, even if we go back to voting, why a lot of people don't vote, or why we finally have a push to vote. If we all come together, we see that we do have the numbers, that we can make some change. But we're always, I feel like, on different pages,
Yeah.
and it's counterproductive.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure. I do think that we, the people, and I'm saying just, the people that are not in politics, we do have the numbers to make the change. So I don't know what it's going to take to get us all on one page. But yeah. All right. So that was Team Millennial. And I had to phone a friend this week because, y'all kind of ate us up
Yeah, they
last
left
week.
you hanging.
Now, listen, we need sleep, girl. I called a few people. They were like, I just washed my hair. I got, my hair ain't together. And I get it. Look, we got shit going on. We got real lives here. Not saying y'all don't have real lives,
I was
but
about to
we don't,
say,
it takes us a lot more time to get our life together.
oh my gosh.
But I do have somebody from Gen X. Let me welcome in Niece. Niece! What? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I catch you eating?
While she's eating, there's a lot of comments if we want to kind of just go through those.
All right, let's see. I don't see. Wait, hold on. Comment. Wait a minute. Am I missing them?
Oh yeah, I got a
Oh,
bunch.
yeah, we
Okay.
do. You
I'm
do?
sorry.
So yeah, we got. I want to see them keep their promises. And my thing is this: like, we gotta make them keep the promises. We gotta withhold our votes. That's just my thought. We have to withhold our votes, and they have to know that, okay, if I don't keep these promises, there's going to be consequences for that. As a matter of fact, I know that y'all's president, I'm sorry, our president, just forgave 10 or up to 10 or up to $20,000 in student loans. Well, that ain't what his ass ran on. He ran on $50,000. So there should be some consequences for not living up to that. $50,000 is what he promised, and that should be what it is. You're trying to meet us not even halfway. You're not even trying to meet
Hmm.
us with 25. You're trying to meet us with 20.
So what
And
are
then
the consequences? What are the consequences? Let's not vote for him, and then we'll get the Republican, and he'll take back the 20,000.
no, the consequences is we're gonna get a different person in, and we're gonna vote for that person, not
Oh,
you.
oh, okay. So So we're gonna get a different person when? When? In 2024?
2024. But if they don't hurry the hell up. All
It
right. So, knees, politics. We've been talking politics. We've been
you
talking.
already know, you already know. You already know I'm like chomping at the bit over here.
I
I'm
know
God.
like,
you
tag
like
me in. Tag
tag
me
me
in.
in.
Tag me in.
But
Okay.
here's the question: do you believe that millennials are engaged or disengaged in politics? And if it whatever your answer, why do you believe that?
I I believe that they are I believe, yeah, do I believe they're disengaged? Yes, that that is proven. That's a fact.
Hmm.
The both parties, I was just watching today on the news that basically both parties have been trying to figure out what's the secret sauce basically to get people to vote in the bracket of 18 to 34. That's the people who don't vote,
Hmm.
right? So what I was gonna say when Amari was saying that it keeps on being white men, we're tired of old white men, is that the people who benefit from old white men being in power keep voting for old white men, and we
Hmm.
don't. We're not. And so
Yeah.
it's it's very it's very frustrating for someone who is engaged, and not just, and I'm not even just speaking to the millennials, but honestly, just let's just say it straight out. Like, there's more. This country is not a white country
Hmm.
anymore. There are more of us than there are of them. So when you say is why are white people running the country? Well, it's because they are organized, they stay on message, they don't care. They didn't care about Trump. There were so many people that hated Trump that plugged their nose, went in there and voted for him because they knew that he was going to eventually get them to the point that they've been trying to get for the past 50 years, which is
Hmm.
abortion rights gone, which is now gone. So we are, we on the other side are not like that. We treat these candidates like Santa Claus. It's like, well, I'm going to vote for him. Well, I didn't get what I wanted, so I'm not going to vote, or I'm not going to vote for him next time. They don't do that.
Hmm.
That is just the straight up reality. They do not care. They play the long game. And it it is so much. Even before we as a I'm going to say, when I say we, I'm always talking about people of color, really, or even allies, right? So we don't normally show up in midterm elections. So that is more important than the presidential election.
Hmm.
And we don't do it because we just, oh, yep, I got the president. He's the president, so he does
Yeah, yeah,
everything, not even realizing that the president can't do anything if he has a Congress that's against him. He can't
yeah.
really
Right.
do anything. So white people and people who, and I'll even say rich people, because it's not all white people, people who understand that that the policies that these people are going to enact are going to benefit them, they show up. If you did a poll on a little podunk town of in the midterms, up until really the since Trump's been elected, like Amari said, a lot of people got engaged because they saw, holy shit, I got to pay attention. But before that, nobody voted but old white people. That's
Hmm.
all that voted in midterms. So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
just keep getting the people that they want because we're not voting in there. And so it's like, now we okay, I'll go back. Sorry, I'm being long-winded. but but just like I was telling Amari that we weren't engaged when we were younger because the world was normal. honestly, we didn't always vote Democrat.
This
We
shit
would
was
really
normal.
look. I'm just saying, when I say normal, I mean not hair on fire. Trump calling the Trump's got the Confederate flag waving outside the White House. It was more
Yeah,
like
yeah,
there wasn't that really that much of a difference between Democrats and Republicans.
yeah,
We really looked at the issues. We looked at the issues. We would vote like what Chris Rock say, I'm liberal on some shit and I'm conservative on some shit. So we
yeah,
would really look at it like that. Right now, I feel like this country is in a state of emergency. We don't have a choice now. I don't agree with everything Biden, but it's like I'm either on the side with the racist people who want to storm the Capitol and, you know, control my body and control, what my kids learn at school, or I'm over here with the other people. It's really a black and white choice.
mm, yeah. I agree, and my thing is too. I think that I understand the frustration. I understand the frustration. I understand people, are at a point.
Me too.
I understand that they're at a point where they're like, you know what, forget it. It doesn't matter, but it
Yeah.
does fucking matter,
Yes.
especially here locally. And I really, really want to stress, if you are listening to this show and if you are here in Nevada, we have to vote for our governor, and our governor is like the president of our state. And if you want a president of our state to look like the last administration, then don't vote. If you want the president of our state to look a little bit different, please vote. Please vote. Please vote, because
But
I
that but
think they're
it's
trying
and
to change the
it's
state.
not even just that. It's everything
I
under it.
know.
All these,
I know.
if you look at these candidates that they're putting up, it's just like there is no Republican Party. It's Trump. It's just Trump. Even the Republicans that are normal Republicans are getting voted out. They don't want nothing to do with that. They only want the crazy. They
Mhm.
only want the crazy. And that's why we need to play the long game. We need to play the long game. Just like now I just saw that the first millennial is going to, won the primary to be the first millennial ever elected to Congress.
Mhm. Mhm. And
So
my thing
it
is, vote for more millennials. If you
it
guys feel
can
so
change. Yeah,
strongly,
that's what I'm saying. It can change, but
yeah.
we have to stay the course. And I think that now I understand what they're saying is that you guys have been voting for 50 years and nothing's changed. But it's like now, as we see, things are changing.
Mm.
Things are changing, I
They're
feel like.
changing, and some things are changing not in our favor.
Right.
And so what we need to do is vote for people that are more like-minded than the majority of the people in this country, right? So more like-minded, like the majority of people. And it's so scary, because I used to think that there were more good people than bad, but quite honestly, I think it's 50-50. We're split down the middle. But we have to get out there and vote. So if millennials feel like things are not changing, millennials, get out there and vote for millennials. How about that?
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
accept that. I'm
Yeah.
I'm cool with you guys. I think you
Or
guys are
even get
great.
a yeah. Yeah. Get in your and I even what, Amari and Brianna was saying about making change in your community. Well, maybe that change is finding which one of your friends that you think could run for
Mhm.
something. Which one of your friends could run for something. So I think that giving up is not the way. We got to kind of play the hand that we're given right now. In the meantime, knowing that we're trying to work towards a better hand.
Mhm. Mhm. For sure. For sure. And it breaks my heart that Brianna's not going to vote in the next election. I really want her to vote in the next election, because my thing, in unison with whatever else she's doing, she is doing things that's going to help her in her community. I also think she should also vote, for people that support the things that she's doing in her community. Like, you got to kind of do both. You can't just
Yeah.
not vote. You can't.
So what happens when you vote and then you still end up with, the person there that you don't want? is there a point that for you guys that you would just say, well, I'm going to start voting in my best interest, or what, this isn't really working? I mean, what's the point for you guys where you feel like, the system really is broken and we're not really making change?
I'm always gonna vote. Period. And I just want to note that Brianna did comment in a private chat and said that she's just not voting for the presidential election. She is gonna vote locally, so that makes my heart a little bit better. But
A little
please,
bit.
Good thing for
but
your
please
heart.
vote in both. Vote in both, please. Thanks. Um, but my thing is, I think that I will engage in more, things that contribute to my morals and values outside of politics, as well as vote. So there'll never be a time where I feel like I'm not going to vote. There's just never, for me. I don't know. What do you
Yeah.
think, Denise?
I think that even saying that, I mean, it was not our great 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 grandmas and grandpas who were beaten or had dogs sicked on them. It was literally our grandmas. So it's like it wasn't that long ago. So to me, even the fact I vote every time that I can. I don't care if it's for school board assistant, vice principal's dog. If I can vote, I'm going to vote just for the fact that I know that blood was spilled for me to be able to walk up there and push the button for who I want to.
Hmm.
And that is it's not enough to say, well, we're not making change, so you know it's not just for that reason, but that is all mixed in with why I vote.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
do feel that responsibility, and that when you really look at the test that they used to make black people do to vote, it was how many bubbles are in a bar of soap. That used to be a real test.
Don't get me started on that, because I'm very, very
So it's like that was our
yeah,
grandma. Our
triggered
grandma
by
that
shit
was
like
that
that.
was that was I mean, Ruby Bridges going to school in her greatest, she's still alive. Like this isn't something that happened a long time ago. This is really something that just happened. And so yeah, just to go in there and push the button is a
Yeah.
privilege.
And if we decide to like get out of the game, we're doing exactly what they want us to do. Trust
Mhm.
me. That's
Mhm.
exactly what they want us to do. And then so that they can just do whatever the fuck they want to do. And
Yeah.
that's not cool. Not cool.
Yeah.
Not cool at all.
Yeah.
So anywho, did you want to say anything else, Denise, before Amari and I wrap up this whole politics type thing? And I am like really, really pleading to the millennials, do not give up, you guys. We got shit to do. We got work. If you guys want us to listen, I don't care if you guys said we ain't voting unless it's a millennial. I'm behind you on that. I'll vote for the millennial. Is better than what we've been having. You guys have some fresh ideas. You guys want to see real change. You guys want, you guys are very inclusive. You guys include everybody, and I
And
love that
very
about you guys.
and that generation is very innovative. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
I can imagine them coming up with something. I mean, coming up with something that really does let us track how people vote, or
Mhm.
something, just coming up with a different way to get people engaged, or a way to get people that the right people elected. I could see them doing that.
Mhm.
So I think we need them to stay engaged, and like, yeah, just look at it and say, okay, let's look at how you guys have been doing it. Okay, this isn't working, so let's pick it apart and let's start with something else that we can build and say, you know what, maybe let's try it this way. So, I mean, I don't think that Gen Xers would be opposed to that. I think we're all for it, because you guys are the ones that we're gonna have to leave this to.
Mhm. Because if not, then we have to depend on the Gen Zs.
Oh god.
and they gives a fuck. They don't care. They do not care about shit. So it's up to y'all millennials to make this shit happen, and that's for real. I'm being so
I do think
like my
more
heart.
millennials should get into politics. I mean,
You
I know
guys,
that's easy for me to say, but
yeah, they
I'm saying
have
like in
the TikTok
like
and the TikToks and the Instagrams, and not only that, but you guys got the technology. You know, it's
It's up
I
to you.
think yeah.
If y'all fumble the ball, we're fucked, and we're gonna. Let me just tell you, like my son, we stayed up. I let him stay up till almost midnight on the night that Trump got elected. And at midnight, we did not know who was going to be our president. I stayed my ass up because I just couldn't go to sleep. But I made him go to sleep. The next morning, he woke up and he asked me who won. And the look on my face told him who won. And his immediate response was, he's going to put us back in slavery. That is the saddest shit I ever heard of, right? And so he said that. So here's my thing: if the millennials fumble the ball, anything's possible, because y'all just gonna let these people do what they want to do, you know?
No, they really, I mean, literally, this is the first time in history that we've had a constitutional right taken away.
Hmm.
So now they can do anything. They really can. I mean, but guess
Hmm.
what? Those judges have a lifetime appointment, but those judges are old.
Hmm.
So yeah, we can either put our heads down and say, "Oh my gosh, like it's just lost," or we can say, "Hey, like let's start working. Let's give it, 3 or 4 cycles." It's of course when we're gonna take some L's, we're gonna vote for some people, but we're gonna, slowly let's move the chess pieces around so that we can put things in place so that hey, maybe we won't get to see it, but maybe you guys will get to see it, or your kids will get to see it.
Hmm.
not
Yeah.
take some L's.
I'm saying I be on the ticks and the talks.
I see.
All right. Well, Denise, thank you so much for holding it down for Gen X. Appreciate
Anytime,
that. Appreciate that. Listen, sometimes you gotta phone a friend, get a little backup. If y'all don't get
anytime.
y'all get together. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye. So Mar, has your here's my question for you. Has your outlook on politics changed any um before or after, I guess, today's show?
I think of course because I've heard a lot of stuff and it is obviously compelling when you guys say like it is a right, and that's why I've never said, I'm not going to vote or I take it lightly. I really did feel bad that it came up, we were in the middle of moving and it was like, dang, because it did feel good when we were engaged and keeping up with it. But I just know me, and that's why I really stopped. Like it was a conscious effort, not to just say I don't care about it, but to say, like, my job is already mentally taxing. Like, I listen to people's, dark moments. They're like, so at some point for my own, sanity, mental health, I have to cut some things out. And that was something that was really draining. And it still is. Like, my parents have it on all the time and any news, And so that's maybe just a personal thing for me. I have to cut it off at some point. But this has made me feel like even if it's just the headlines, checking in to see what's going on, what's the landscape, so that I could be more informed and I don't have to lean on my parents. Because I'm not engaged, and then when it's time to vote, to be engaged. So I have taken that away to just on the day to day, maybe just take a little bit of time to, at the bare minimum, read the headlines if something really pops out, to really take a look versus, sitting in front of the TV all day or having it on a podcast or the radio. That's a bit too much for me. But I do think it impacts us. And so because of that, I think I have to do my due diligence to stay updated and stay informed so that I can just know what's going on. And I think those things do inspire you, like how you guys feel inspired to stick with it and you see the change, is because you guys stay engaged. And so maybe one thing has to happen before the other. Get engaged, and then I will be inspired to stay engaged, to do my part in the ways that I can. But I like what you guys were saying about getting more millennials um, into not just politics, keeping up with it, but really involved, whether so we can start seeing them on our TVs and hearing their perspectives and seeing the things that they want to see change. And so maybe, promoting that, or the people that I know that are in law or political science, giving them that push to get their faces out there, get their names there so that we can start seeing more people like us.
Yes, yes, I agree. I'm with it. And listen, I am so ready to pass the torch. Like, I'll vote for any millennial, that is out there and wanting to do the damn thing and make some real change, and fight the good fight. Because while I do think that it is a political machine out there, and that once you get involved in it, you can get eaten up in that machine. But I think that if it's more and more and more good people that really do want to get in there and make change, I think you really can make some change. And change the system that has been in place for the inception, of our Constitution. So I'm rooting for you guys. I am very scared if we have to pass the torch to Gen Z. I have concerns. I'm worried. They don't give a shit about nothing. So we got to pass the torch to you guys.
You're not
At
lying.
least y'all halfway give a shit.
I think
So,
so, because I think even the reasons why we may not be, stereotypically engaged, are still well thought out reasons. Whether it be, we've been seeing this, it's not working, so we want to try something new. Whether it be, hey, they made real promises that we thought were going to come true and they really haven't. I don't think it's just a matter of like, oh, yeah, like I just don't care about that stuff they're talking about.
yeah, and that's what we'll get with Gen Z. They literally don't care. Have you had a conversation with a Gen Z
No,
lately?
no, I
They
don't.
don't care about anything. Nothing. Nothing that's going on in the real world. I believe that they believe that the world is not the world. I,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and it doesn't make sense to me. But you guys, please, I'm pleading with the millennial. Let's let's do this damn thing.
And I would love for it to be broken down on a, even like hearing from, people that we trust or people of color, even you and, Brianna, if something like that, where it's like, okay, these are the issues on the table. This is kind of what it, like hearing it from, a real life perspective versus just listening to it on the news. Cause that just doesn't resonate with me either.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Well, listen, we'll see what the griot, brings to us. That is a new black, I don't know. I'm saying black because it's been black in the past, but black news outlet that Byron Allen just purchased.
What's
Uh,
it? Griot?
the Griot, GRIO, and it is a news outlet that brings our um, topics to the forefront. Um,
Cool.
but but Byron Allen is has made it very clear that it's not just black issues, it's issues. But the griot has in the past been primarily black and brown issues, brought to the forefront.
Okay.
So anywho, our time is up here. I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate, the dialogue, and appreciate everybody's input on this
Yeah.
topic. I think it's very important. We have some elections coming up. And I can't stress enough the governorship of Nevada. We have that coming up, and we just really cannot afford to have a Trump state. I'm saying that. I say it out loud. I don't care what anybody thinks about it. I am not a Trump supporter in the least bit whatsoever. So I know that there are a lot of governors out there that are waiting to get his direction in how they should run the state of Nevada, and I ain't with that shit. Nope.
Hmm.
Nah, nah. So we gotta vote. But anyway, Amari, where can people where can people follow you? Where can people find you if they have any questions for you?
Instagram, all things balanced underscore W Amari. You can hit my Google Voice with a text voicemail. Call me, leave a voicemail 714-794-9774. You probably don't have it on there, but I have a bunch of emails.
Okay.
ajmw.pagg is probably the easiest one at Gmail for me to kind of put out there. Um, yeah,
I'll put
you
that one.
can
What is
reach
it?
me.
A what?
ajmw.pagg at gmail.com.
All right. Let me see. Let me know if it's right because I don't want to get it wrong. All right. Let me add this. Oh Lord. I don't know if this is right. Did I do it wrong? Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
That's right. Email me, send me topics, questions, if you need resources. I got a lot of resources.
Okay. All right, cool. And we're going to need it. Listen, it's a lot going on in the world, you guys. We got to stay balanced. Okay. You can reach me always at pieces.of.she on Instagram, Twitter, pieces of she one. And if you want to email me, listen, I had some DMs that were very long and very thought out. People were in their feelings. Okay. If you want to send me,
Really?
yes, about I think the millennials that are engaged. Well, there was one millennial that wasn't. That was the one that I read, and then there
Hmm.
are millennials that are engaged that were kind of upset, about millennials that are not engaged because they understand the seriousness, I guess, of this whole thing. And
Hmm.
so I just want to give a shout out. Let me see. Hold on. Let me go on my DM so I can make sure I give
Okay.
her a shout out because she definitely Ashley, um, Ashley K, and she is definitely into politics. She it was very long, but she said I do want to read this because I do think it's
Yeah.
important. Um, don't forget, Nevada has 2 weeks early voting. Most other states don't. We have the option to vote at any voting center, even on election day. Formerly incarcerated folks can vote literally as long as they are not in a jail cell. So, yes, even if they're on parole. Once you are released, your rights are restored, although they should never have been taken away to begin with, right? But she says, say we have same day voter registration in Nevada. You don't have to have or show an ID unless you're going to register on the same day. Then yes, you'll need a Nevada's license or ID, proof of residence, passport, or military ID, or something like that. And then she put, as always, I can't tell folks who to vote for. That's a personal decision. But the right to vote has been preserved by Democrats, and Dems made that happen in Nevada. I keep saying perhaps neither party is satisfactory, but there is one actively trying to remove our right to vote while the others just don't know how to flex the shit they do. Okay. Early voting is October 22nd through November 4th. Election day is November 8th. Midterms are more important. Member of Congress, governor, secretary of state, this year for Nevada. If you don't like Biden, cool. He's not on the ballot, right? So if you are voting in this next election, we are not voting for the president. We're voting for the shit that matters in the state that we are in. So let's vote. Thank you, Ashley. We appreciate that. If you guys want to know who to vote for, or even what's at stake. She'll let you know. And her Instagram is at, hold on, it is at Ashley, ASHLEYK underscore AYY. You can follow her if you have any questions for her. Um, Anything else before we get out of here, Amari?
No, I didn't know if we were going to try to talk a little bit about what we had next week. If people had ideas, I always like that part.
Let's do that. Anybody have anything you guys want to talk about next week? Put it down there in the comments. I did have somebody that mentioned, oh crap, I can't. What did they mention? They mentioned something. I know that we did talk about like sex, and sex is a broad topic.
Hmm.
But I had someone that mentioned that there is a difference in the way that millennials and Gen X view sex, and I'd like to contribute to that topic. I think that millennials are more transactional these days. Gen X is more like, I'm enjoying this shit, and this shit is great, and this is a part of life, and this is like a God given gift. So there's two different I think views on that. I don't know.
Okay.
What do you
Hmm.
think? Nobody has put anything in the comments yet as to what they want to talk about next week. So what are your
Okay.
thoughts?
That's an interesting one. I don't know where we would. I mean, I'd kind of take the backseat to that, see what you guys see, what the perception is, and maybe see if I fall into that. If not, I can get some guests on here that are willing to talk about it on their end.
Well, I think we're going to do either that, or we're going to talk about money. I did have somebody reach out to me and they want to talk about life insurance and just, money management and things like that. So either we're talking
That's a good
about
one.
sex or we're talking about money. So
And
either
I think
way, I
we
think
had that
everybody,
on our list, like generational wealth,
yeah,
that sort of topic. That's a good one.
yeah.
Okay, well, either way, I'm sure we'll get to both, but maybe we'll put it out there, see if we can kind of narrow down the sex topic.
All
Um,
right, cool.
I'm down.
I'll do that. I'll put like a little questionnaire type thing on Instagram. So,
Okay.
um, all right, guys, we love you guys, She family.
Cool.
Until next time.
Cool. Night, guys. Have a good week.